Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw podcast. Today, Matt and myself are previewing the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, Matt, we're going to jump right into that first question. And looking at the Thunder, obviously they made what most would say the most substantial change in the offseason with Kevein Durant leaving for Golden State. Victor Oladipo and Ersan Ilyasova traded for Serge Ibaka, basically Ibaka going to Orlando, Oladipo, the main piece coming back to the Thunder. Looking at their depth chart, obviously Oladipo is going to be a focal point, and Ilyasova is going to be in there somewhere, kind of battling Domantas Sabonis, the rookie, for the power forward spot. Andre Roberson's going to move to the small forward spot. And then, of course, your guy, Steven Adams, is making the center spot. So, with him healthy, what do you kind of look for out of that starting five?
I think their starting five is going to be pretty good. Obviously, Westbrook, fantastic. I really like Oladipo. I think he's a really good player. I think maybe he just needed a change of scenery. He just didn't fit into, I think, the plans that they wanted to do in Orlando. So I think this is really going to help him. I think he's going to be fantastic for them. Roberson, outstanding defense. I like last year going into the play when they went into that Golden State series. I was thinking to myself that I don't know if he's good enough defensively to negate how poor he is on the offensive end, but watching that series, he really can lock up. Dude's a fantastic defender. He just has to hit that consistent corner three. If he can do that, he's going to be fantastic for them. They don't need him to score a lot of points. Power forward, I would right now probably go with Ilyasova just for the simple fact he can stretch the floor with his three-point shooting. I don't know if Sabonis is ready to do that yet. They're both piss poor defensively, so pick your poison. Go with the better three-point shooter, especially with Adams down low. He's not a shooter, so you need some floor spacing out there because that starting lineup doesn't have a lot of great shooting. So you're going to have to go with Ilyasova, I think. Kind of got the same problem the Bulls have a little bit with the floor spacing, but Adams is going to be fantastic. I think you're going to see a lot more offensively. I think he'll be able to hit the 10, 12-foot jump shot. I think he's got an underrated post game. He'll be able to score down low, offensive rebound. The guy's just a freaking beast. He's an animal. And he's tough as nails too. I really like that guy. And now what I'll be interested in is it possible we could see the Cantor man in the starting lineup because he can space the floor with his three-point shooting.
Yeah, he can. And he can slide easily over to that power forward spot.
Yeah.
Looking at, I'll touch on the power forward spot. Sabonis has started every preseason game so far for OKC. But with that mindset, is that to get him experience from basically, obviously he played for the national team, Lithuanian national team in the Olympics. And, of course, coming out of Gonzaga. We all know who his father is, Arvydas Sabonis. So he's definitely been taught post moves. He's going to have to work on the defensive end, and he's going to have to work on that outside shot. I would think right now he would be in the starting lineup just to get him, experience in the preseason. I'm totally with you. Start Ilyasova, work Sabonis in as the year rolls on. But they might, look to get Sabonis off and running. So,
yeah. And what's interesting about that trade they made now, essentially they got two starters for one, if that's the way they're going. And Sabonis, I think he's going to be a good player.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, going to Oladipo, defensively what he can do, basically it's going to be a nightmare for teams with Oladipo back there, the athleticism of Russell Westbrook, and then you've got Andre Roberson locking up the wings. I mean, man, they're going to look good as far as the backcourt goes. And then Steven Adams being able to man the middle there, getting rebounds. He can score a little bit, nice post. We saw glimpses of that as the season went on last year. It's only going to elevate this year. I have high hopes for him. And then Enes Kanter's somebody that looking at him kind of there at that power forward center spot, he's a question mark for me because all the things came out in the offseason of renouncing his so-called last name, and then that kind of went away, got ignored. Is he mentally stable right now, to kind of take a leap forward next season? But as far as his game goes, defensively, he is a turnstile.
He's the Devin Booker of the big men.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. I mean, he basically will give up points, but he can score giftedly on the offensive end. So it's pick your poison, as you said there. Mm-hmm. And then with Russ at the point guard spot, we'll get to him in just a little bit. But I want to go back to some of the bench guys. Joffrey Laverne came over from Denver. Very nice center power forward piece that will essentially take the roster spot of Mitch McGary, who unfortunately kind of doped his way away from having a roster spot, so to speak. You've got Anthony Morrow there as a three-point shooter on the wing. Kyle Singler, Nick Collison, a veteran. And then Alex Abrinas coming over from Europe is an outstanding shooter. We've gotten to see exactly what he can do in the preseason, has looked very well shooting the ball. And then Cameron Payne is going to be a question mark because coming off another fracture of his foot, having to have letting time to repair that. What do you see out of those guys this season?
I think, Abrinas, Morrow, they're going to shoot the ball well. I'd like to see Kyle Singler be able to step into that small forward role and be able to do that because he has really good technique. He's had some good shooting years in Detroit. So if he could just get his head out of his ass and actually stop, he could be pretty good for them, spacing the floor. He's going to play smart defensively coming from Duke. He's a Coach K guy. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. How many minutes will Laverne get, though? Because let's just say we go with Ilyasova to start. It looks like they're going to go with Sabonis. So now you've got Ilyasova and Canterman off the bench in those big man roles. So is there going to be a lot of time for a guy like Laverne? If everybody's healthy. I don't know what they're going to get out of him. Nick Collison, I think he's just there kind of spot minutes here and there, veteran guy. I like Cameron Payne. I think he can be really good. But you're right, with the foot injuries, what's he going to do? So I think what you might see, kind of like what they did last year, you're going to have Westbrook or Oladipo on the floor at all times, I think. You have to. You got to have a ball handler out there. So I would assume Oladipo will come out of the lineup first. When Westbrook comes out, Oladipo will be that backup point guard to start the season, I think. Even though he'll start at the 2. I think he'll essentially be their backup guard off the bench without Payne healthy right now.
Absolutely, because they've only got Samaj Kristen, who they drafted a couple seasons ago in the second round, or 2 years ago in the second round. He's kind of a fringe training camp guy. They let him develop in the D-League last year. He's not really fit to play substantial minutes if he even makes the team. Ronnie Price, a veteran they signed for a 2-year contract. He's there kind of to be a mentor more for Cam Payton, I think. And you've got to look at Oladipo as being a backup point to play. He's going to play close to 40 minutes a night because he basically at this point he's going to have to between kind of backing up the 6-7 minutes that Westbrook kind of sits on the bench and then playing his own minutes at the 2. There's going to be a bevy of minutes there for him, and I think it's a good thing for Oladipo because defensively he goes after it. Offensively, he's going to have to kind of step up and be a little bit more consistent. But then you've got shooters, Anthony Morrow and Alex Abrinas, that can kind of flip-flop between small forward and shooting guard. Singler, I want to see more out of him. When he was with Detroit, I thought he had a good chance to kind of push forward. He was one of the top high school recruits. And with that, I think he never really flourished since coming out of Duke. And so I'd look for him to kind of take a rotation spot and kind of etch it in stone this season as the backup small forward. Josh Eustace out of Stanford, to me, he's a fringe NBA player that I think they kind of wasted a spot. And he got assigned to the D-League as a first-round pick to sit for a season, and last year he barely even played. So I don't see him doing much. Nick Collison, like you said, veteran mentor. And then Joffrey Laverne, he'll be the third center, but I think he's there as insurance just in case something happens with Cantor. They have to trade him or do something because he is capable of doing well in the post and on the perimeter, and he can get down athletically, down up and down the floor as well. So he could be a piece for the future as insurance for Enes Kanter. Looking at Billy Donovan, of course, he's in his second year as the coach of the Thunder. Obviously, losing Kevein Durant's the biggest blow on both sides of the ball. What do you think the team's going to look like on offense and defense with such a big change?
Defensively, I think they may end up kind of being the same because I kind of look at it this way. I think Oladipo is a better perimeter defender than Kevein Durant. Essentially, that's what you've done, and we know what Roberson's going to do. So I think on the perimeter defensively, they've actually improved. Now, Ibaka took a step back a little bit defensively last year, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with Sabonis, Ilyasova, and those guys. They're obviously not going to do what he did, so that'll be interesting. You got Steven Adams, but on the offensive end, I think that'll be the question mark. They don't space the floor that well. And that starting lineup, like I said earlier, could have a lot of problems if Sabonis is your starting power forward. They have zero floor spacing. Westbrook, he's erratic. Oladipo's inconsistent from three at best. Same thing with Roberson. He can go 4 for 4 one game, and the next 3 games, he goes 0 for 15 or 1 for 15. So that's going to be a problem, especially with guys who like to attack the rim like Oladipo and Westbrook. They're not going to have a lot of room to operate, so they're going to have to really shoot the basketball. So offensively, I think it's the biggest thing, trying to find ways to space that floor. I think they'll still get up and down. I think the play style will probably be basically the same. I mean, Oladipo is obviously a downgrade offensively from Durant, but he can also provide some playmaking. So, I think offensively, though, for the most part, they'll probably do a lot of the same things. A lot of ISO-heavy offense. I think you'll still see that, especially when you got Westbrook out there. He's not changing his game.
No, we've seen that before. We've watched this whole highlight reel before when Durant missed games 2 seasons ago. So definitely it's going to be the Russell Westbrook show. Defensively, I'm going to go with your favorite stat. They were 12th in defensive efficiency last season. Putting Oladipo in that mix is definitely going to make a big difference. I think they can get up into the top 10 easily on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And then offensively is going to be where they take a step back. They were second in offensive efficiency. That obviously goes down with Durant leaving. I could still see them somewhere in the 15 to 18 range. Because I think they take a step back, obviously, with either Ilyasova or Sabonis being there. Roberson's not an offensive guy. Adams is not really an offensive guy, so it's all Russell Westbrook and Oladipo for the most part. So they're going to take a big hit there, but I think they'll make it up defensively and remain competitive. It's just going to be Billy Donovan's job to make sure he reins Russell in when he starts taking those asinine three-point jumpers and just erratic shots at the end of games. He's going to have to step in and kind of calm him down and maybe let Oladipo handle the ball a little bit and let Russ kind of play off the ball if need be, if you really need some facilitating down the stretch. And that takes us into Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. What do you think he's going to need to do differently, if anything, individually to be able to push this team forward without Kevein Durant and have the Thunder remain a force in the West?
Offensively, I don't think he's going to change much. He is who he is. He's going to do what he does. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be similar to what he did a couple years ago when Durant was out, that last month and a half of that 14-15 season. He was fantastic. I think you'll see a lot of that. What he need, the thing he can do though is get after it defensively. No lapses. Become a really good defender, which he's capable of. I think that really will help if he can do that. And then his teammates are going to see that. That's the biggest thing. He's going to push the pace. He's going to be in constant attack mode. He's a bulldog, so I think he's going to be fantastic this year, which is why I think they're going to do a lot better than some people think. I think he's going to get a lot of wins for this team.
Yeah, I think for me with Russ is just keep your head, on straight at the end of games. Don't take wild shots. Athletically, he's able to get at it defensively. Offensively, don't always feel like you have to play that bully ball style. We know you're athletic. We know you can get in the lane. But averaging, 28, 27, 28 points is better than averaging, 31, 32, and your team is winning. Learn to distribute the ball in spots. I think he's capable of doing it, and in my opinion, I think he was the alpha dog over Kevein Durant as far as, a voice, because Durant was more of the quiet one. So I don't think he'll have any problem taking the reins of the team. It's just going to be a matter of, picking his spots when he can take over games and when he needs to kind of dial it back and rely on others. Trust a guy like Roberson to hit that corner three. Trust Oladipo to be able to get to the rim and finish. Trust Adams in the post, 4 or 5 times in each half. Those are the things that I'm going to look for the most out of Russ as far as taking Oklahoma City, forward and making either staying kind of right where they were, or even if they drop a notch or two, staying right in that range rather than some people having them all the way out of the playoffs. Because that could happen too if we get the bad version of Westbrook. So give me, Matt, give me 3 keys that you think may make or break the Thunder this season.
One is simple, Russell Westbrook. I don't really have to say much. That's the big key with this team. 2, I want to see guys like Roberson continue the defense, the great defense, improve on your outside shooting. I think that's going to be huge. Oladipo, I want to see how he's going to adjust. I think that's going to be, big. What they do with the power forward spot, I think those things right there would be my second key. The third, I think, is going to be the bench. What can they get out of this bench? I think that's going to be big. How are they going to handle this backup point guard role once everybody's healthy? Will Oladipo lose some minutes to Cameron Payne? How's he going to do? I think so. I think the bench is big because we really don't know what a lot of those guys will be able to do. But they're probably going to have Oladipo or Westbrook on the floor at all times, so maybe that negates that a little bit.
Absolutely. I think you touched on it the most. The bench is going to be a key piece to them, because if you take away guys like Dion Waiters off the bench, what do you have scoring-wise? I mean, Anthony Morrow could hit, threes in spots, but he's not a go-to scorer. Alex Abrinas is a rookie. Cantor, of course, can put up points, but he's going to give up as many points as he puts up. And then you don't really know what you're going to get out of Kyle Singler every night either. Cameron Payne's injured, so that bench is going to be – they're going to have to basically rotate Oladipo and Westbrook out at all times and have one of them on the floor with that second unit at all times. That's just logical to me. Billy Donovan is the second key to me, because he's going to be someone, like I just alluded to earlier with Russell Westbrook, that's going to be able to kind of rein him in and keep him in and out of or keep him in control when he gets out of control. And then I want to see him push Oladipo more to get more on the offensive end. I want to see him push Roberson more on the offensive end. Roberson doesn't have to be a knockdown, three-point shooter all the time, but at the same time, being able to keep defenses honest is going to be a key for me with Roberson, because you don't want to sag off a guy, every single time because he can't shoot. I think he can really do some things going forward this year. Just get that three-point shot down. So that's 2 keys for me. And the third key is just going to be offensively. When Russ is struggling, is Oladipo able to kind of take on that offensive role in a sense, or somebody like a Steven Adams going to step up and really advance his scoring average this season, or somebody like Sabonis, if he gets in as a rookie, he can score in the post. Very good post moves. Can he score? Or Ilyasova, if he starts, can he knock down perimeter shots to kind of get 4 or 5 buckets when Russ is struggling? Those are going to be the main keys for me. And looking at the expectations of the Thunder, it's obviously to be the upper echelon of the West. That 1 to 4 range, of course. Where do you see them finishing in the conference?
I've got them finishing fourth. I think they'll be close to 50 wins, and they'll finish fourth. I still think they're going to be a very good basketball team. I like Billy Donovan. I think he's an excellent coach. Because going into last season, we thought, and I've mentioned it before, a while back over the summer, that we didn't know what Billy Donovan was going to bring, but he did a pretty good job with that basketball team, especially with the egos they had. So I think they're going to still be pretty good. Of course, they've got to stay healthy, but that's any team. But I've got them finishing fourth.
Okay. I've got them in the sixth spot. I think they take a little bit of a step back because on the offensive end, until they can prove it, I think that kind of hinders them a little bit. And a couple teams got a little bit better in the Western Conference, and some teams like Portland generally stayed the same, but I think the addition of Evan Turner is going to kind of push them a little bit above the Thunder, and I see Houston finishing above the Thunder right now. Now, things could change. We've got 10 days until the NBA regular season.
Mm-hmm.
The 24th, we're previewing the NBA upcoming season as far as our predictions, things like that. So my sixth spot could change, but right now that's kind of where I have them. I think that's a legitimate spot for them, or better. I don't think they fall out of the playoffs completely. I don't see them losing. Based on records last year, I don't see them losing 13 more games where they would fall out. I think for the Western Conference this year, you've got to get generally 44 games or more to get in the playoffs. Yeah. I think that's a realistic.
I don't think this will be a year where you got to get 50 to get in.
No. But I think 44, realistically, because teams are going to be competitive. The Jazz are going to be right there.
And teams will be able to get wins because the Warriors aren't winning 73 games again.
No, that's not going to happen.
The Spurs aren't going to win 67. Oklahoma City's not. So there's going to be more wins out there for teams to get.
Absolutely. You just said it perfectly. The Warriors and Spurs are going to dial it back, not because of lack thereof, just because they don't have to. Save yourselves for the playoffs when it really counts. Who cares what your regular season record looks like? We all know with the Warriors last year, the great season they had, it fell short, and nobody's talking about them in the greatest teams ever category as much as they are the Bulls anymore. When everybody was like, oh, they overtook the Bulls, that's it. Now no championship ring. It's like, hold on a minute. But going into the last question we have for the Thunder, give me a bold prediction, Matt, for the Thunder.
Like I said, they're going to finish fourth in the West. But, and you should know this if you watch our Houston Rockets preview with Moochie Norris and Kurt Lowe, then you'll know this. They're going to lose in the first round of the Houston Rockets, who will be the 5 seed. So my bold prediction is the Thunder getting knocked out in the first round by the Rockets.
Nice. Okay. That's definitely doable because the Rockets really improved on the offensive end. It's just going to be where they're going to get out of the defensive end, like we talked about on that podcast with Moochie and Kurt Lowe. So I don't know how bold this is. Everybody's got Russell Westbrook winning the MVP. He is not going to win the MVP. I'm sorry. I don't think they win.
Yes.
I don't think they win enough games. That's my bold prediction. He is not winning the MVP. You can mark it down, mark this date down, mark this podcast down. We can review it at the end of the year, which we will kind of review our prediction show at the end of the season and kind of see where we hit and where we missed.
And we all look like we all come out looking like a bunch of idiots.
Hey, there's a lot more prominent writers that have looked like idiots than us. So I'm not worried about it. I'll take the criticism. But Russell is not winning the MVP. I'm sorry. Playing, on the Thunder and having to be the guy is one thing, but making your team better, I don't know if Russell can kind of elevate that much. Now, if Oklahoma City somehow becomes the first seed in the Western Conference, then he's probably getting the MVP, but I just don't see it happening.
No, they're not going to be the number 1 seed.
I think they're going to take a step back in wins, of course, and I think that's going to hurt them. And I think a guy like a James Harden or somebody kind of taking a step up is going to help him in that MVP voting. But we'll have to see. But that wraps us up for the Oklahoma City Thunder season preview. and want everybody to know that you can go to our iTunes page. I just got the Phoenix Suns preview up there, so everybody go check that out among the other podcasts as well. Click the subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star review as well. We need reviews. Go to our YouTube page. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Like all the videos. Leave us some constructive feedback as well on the videos. We've been getting a lot more feedback on them, and I really enjoy reading some of your comments. So definitely want to continue to see those. And just to let everybody know that we're in our last week of season previews. So we've got the Portland Trail Blazers, the Utah Jazz, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Dallas Mavericks, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Golden State Warriors to come. So that's 6 teams this week, and we'll get those in between Monday and Saturday. And then, of course, next Monday, which is the 24th, will be our season prediction awards preview show. So until then, thanks again for watching and for listening to the Unquestionably Raw podcast.